Hi, Peter Charles here, Hooked for Life Fly Fishing, and let's get into some thinking about trout tapers and the effects of going up in line weight or down in line weight and the impacts they have on turnover, on taper, and how the line performs. And interestingly, what are the choices the manufacturer has when they're putting lines together? Now, what kind of spawned this was a question in one of my videos regarding choice for 3-weight and 2-weight lines. And, is there a lot of choice out there? What do you recommend? Blah, blah, blah. And the reality is when you're looking at 2-weights and 3-weights, there's not a lot of options for the manufacturers in terms of taper. And we're going to see that. We're going to get into that. And there are also some things we should be thinking about in terms of the leaders as well. So I've got a spreadsheet here, and I've got some numbers I've done. I've got my micrometer here. I've got a 3-weight, a 4-weight, a 5-weight, and a 6-weight. Oops, I got them the wrong way around. There we go. That's the 5-weight and the 6-weight. The 3-weight is this old Polyfuse river and stream line. It's a weight forward 3-weight. The 4-weight and the 5-weight are, again, an older Polyfuse line, but it's a presentation taper. It's the ridge line. And this 6-weight is the current elite version. So I don't happen to have the box for that one, but the tapers on here are very similar for these three lines. The two ridge lines, the presentation line, and the elite. They're very, very similar lines. I think probably the tapers are the same. They're both 8 foot. All three of them are 8 foot. The river and stream, this peach-colored one, is a 5-foot front taper. So where are the impacts here? And let's take a look at my spreadsheet. I've got, let's get this stuff out of the way. Give me some room. There we go. What I've got here is I've taken the 3-weight line, I've measured the tip section, the diameter of the tip section, and it's 39 thousandths of an inch. The belly is 42 thousandths of an inch. So if you look at the ratio between these two numbers, it's almost 1-to-1. 1-to-1 is level. So this is almost a level line. There's hardly any tapering going on. It's 5 foot long and it just narrows just a little bit. And it's because it's a 3-weight line. There's not a lot of plastic on it. It's probably a 20-pound core, maybe a 15-pound core. And there's simply not a lot of options for the manufacturer to make that tip really skinny and the belly really fat and a big taper in between them. When we go up to the 4-weight, you see the tip, funny enough, is slightly thinner than the 3-weight. The belly is thicker, so that ratio between belly and tip is bigger. When we get up to the 5-weight, again, the tip is in the same ballpark, and this is understandable. I mean, there's minimums for what they can do with tip diameter, because your tip diameter is the same as your running line diameter, because when they're making the lines, they're all one piece, and they cut them at that point where the taper starts. But so they go from belly to running line to belly to running line to tip, and just one continuous process. So you can see that the running line has to be a certain minimum diameter, and that's influencing the tip diameter. The belly is bigger, so this ratio now starts to get more significant. Now in round 5-weight, we can really play with the tapers, and we can do some interesting things. When we go up to 6-weight, it's even more pronounced. And we get a bigger ratio between tip and belly. So it means if we're playing with tapers, we can get even more creative if we're the manufacturer, and we can do some more novel things with it. So when we're looking at back to the 3-weight, because that's really where we're going with this, is what happens when you have 2-weights and 3-weights and what's the impact on fishing. Well, we've got these leaders here. Now, both these leaders have butt sections that are 22 thousandths of an inch. So it's less than this. But there's not a lot of turnover force in here. I mean, there's not a lot of mass in a 3-weight line. There's not a lot of turnover force. And one of the things you get into is when you have leaders like this that are 9 foot long, and you want to turn over that 9 foot long leader with your 3-weight line. You're taking this thing and you're putting that 9 foot 3x or 4x or 5x leader on the thing. What you'll find is this can start to struggle to turn it over completely. And what I've used to do with my small stream fishing when I was using 2 weights and 3 weights was make my own leaders and have them about 7.5 foot long. And I might start with a 20-pound butt and go down to 5x, 6x, whatever I was using. Sometimes even a 15-pound butt to start with. So I didn't go with long, thick leaders because these lines can struggle to turn them over, especially if there's a bit of wind. If you've got following wind, no problem. And the other thing is I was using fairly bushy flies because I was fishing in pocket water, very turbulent conditions. So I was using things like Henryville Specials, which is a rather bushy caddis. And if there's any kind of wind, it gets blown around if you have one of these long leaders. So when you're out, looking at the lighter weights, the 2 weights, the 3 weights, even the 4 weights, there's not a lot of things the manufacturers can do with the tapering. And, you really have to think about the amount of turnover force you're getting out of that line. What sort of leader is the best idea? How, if you want to carry that, transition from the leader to the fly and get it to turn over, you going with, these 9-foot leaders maybe not be the best choice all the time with the lighter line weights. And you can see when you're getting up around 6 weight here is that you've got some serious turnover force. And you can actually get some really good turnover going. You've got a lot of things that the manufacturer can do with the taper. They can do some interesting stuff with varying the belly and everything else and making some parts of the belly thicker than others. But in the 3 weight, not much choice. Buy your straightforward 3/8 line and go for it if you're going to 3/8 rod. If you're into really, really tight situations, think about a 4 weight on your 3/8 rod or a 3 weight on a 2 weight rod. I used to do that, especially with 2 weights. I even had a 1 weight at one point. You go up a little bit in line weight, and because you're only casting 10, 15 foot of fly line, so you're not going to see any difference. You're not going to overload the rod with 10 feet of fly line out of the guides. Even if you put a 4 weight on a 2 weight, you won't overload it at that rate. And you do get a bit quicker loading, so it does work a little bit better. So give that a try next time you want to, get out there with your 3 weight and you might be struggling with turnover. Keep those things in mind, and you'll have a better day. Cheers. Fish. Good one.